What does a king's crown have to do with a factory, a bag of money, and a potato? They're all connected by a secret code that runs through all of history. And today, we're giving you that code. The 5 simple themes you need to unlock any AP history essay. So stay tuned. Hello, students. Welcome back to the AP History Help podcast. Today, we are tackling the foundational skills for all 3 AP history courses, thinking thematically. The College Board gives each course its own set of themes, which I will send out in my newsletter this month, but they can be simplified and understood through 5 core concepts: social, political, environmental, cultural, and economic. Understanding these will help you make connections, compare societies, and absolutely crush your essays. Make that plural, essays. So let's break down how the themes from AP World, AP Euro, and APUSH all fit into this very simple framework. And I'll even provide you with some examples of each. But first, you guys are in luck. I am going to be sending out a monthly newsletter right around the middle of the month. I have so much I want to share with you, and I want to make it as easy as possible to get that stuff to you. So all you have to do is just go to my website and enter your email address in the little pop-up, and you'll get added to the list automatically. That's it. I promise I won't spam you with any annoying emails. You will get so much value. Plus, you'll be able to contact me with your questions. Sounds like a win-win for you. So just go to aphistoryhelp.com and wait 2 seconds for that pop-up. And by September 15th or so, you'll get the newsletter that will include the full themes of each course. That's aphistoryhelp.com. Okay. Let's get on with those themes so you too can learn about the secret code. Come on in, class. It's time for another episode of the AP History Help podcast. First up today is the political theme. This is all about the power. Think about who has it, how they got it, and how they use it. This includes forms of government like monarchies or democracies, the creation of empires and nations, revolutions, conflicts, and the development of laws and citizenship. So in AP European history, the theme Power, States, and Other Institutes of is a perfect fit here. It's all about the rise of monarchies, the development of the nation state, and political revolutions. You can also include aspects of national and European identity, which explores what it means to be part of a nation or a larger European community. A great example would be the Congress of Vienna in 1815. After the defeat of Napoleon, European leaders met to be like, how are we going to get rid of this guy? How are we going to make sure nobody like him ever comes along again? And so they met to restore the old monarchies and create a balance of power to prevent future wars. This is a perfect illustration of the Power, States, and Other Institutes of theme, as it deals directly with diplomacy, state building, and the political map of Europe. In APUSH, the theme is literally called Politics and Power. This covers everything from the creation of the Constitution and the debate over federal power to the evolution of civil rights and the role of government in citizens' lives. Think of the New Deal in the 1930s. In response to the Great Depression, President Franklin D. Roosevelt's administration vastly expanded the size and power of the federal government through programs like the Social Security Act and the Tennessee Valley Authority. This directly addresses the politics and power theme by redefining the relationship between the government and its citizens. And just an aside on this. because it still applies today very much so in current events, right? Like if you look at the role of the federal government in the lives of the U.S. citizens, this is largely where there's sort of a political disparity, is in what is the role of the government in the lives of the citizens. It's been a debate that has gone on for quite a long time. The political theme in AP World examines state-building empires in conflict. It's how different societies have organized themselves to rule, from the Roman Empire all the way up through modern nation-states. A classic example would be the Meiji Restoration in Japan in 1868. The Japanese underwent rapid state-sponsored political revolutions, a political revolution to centralize power under the emperor, dismantle the old feudal system, and create a modern nation-state capable of resisting Western imperialism. Next, we have the social theme. This category focuses on how people organize themselves in society. It's about social structures, class hierarchies, family, kinship, gender roles, and race and ethnicity. It also covers demographics and migration. For AP European history, the main theme here is social and organizational development. This looks at family structures, the rise of the middle class, and changing gender roles over time. Consider the changing role of women during the world wars. With men away at on the front, millions of women entered the workforce in factories and other roles that were previously reserved for men. So this challenged those traditional gender roles and social structures, which led to major social changes, including the push for suffrage. By the way, that example really applies to all three courses. APUSH has two big themes that fit here. Identity looks at how gender and class and racial and ethnic identities have shaped American society. And peopling focuses on the migration and settlement, who came to the Americas and why, and how they created new social structures. So the Great Migration, which was roughly like 1910 to 1970, is a key example where millions of African Americans moved from the rural South to the urban North to escape those Jim Crow laws and seek economic opportunities. This is a story of peopling or migration and identity, as it creates new Black urban cultures and reshaped the social and racial dynamics of northern cities. The AP World theme of social development and structure covers the creation of social hierarchies like the caste system or feudalism, and how concepts of race, gender, and class have impacted different societies across the globe. The casta system in colonial Latin America is a perfect example. This was a complex social hierarchy that categorized people based on their racial ancestry, European, Amerindian, African, and it determined a person's social status, rights, and economic opportunities, making it a clear example of social developments and structures. The environmental theme looks at the relationship between humans and their surroundings. This includes geography, climate, natural resources, and how people have modified their environment. It also covers things like disease, agriculture, and settlement patterns. In AP European history, the theme interaction of Europe and the world often falls here. Think about how the desire for natural resources drove exploration and imperialism, or how the physical geography of Europe shaped its development. So like the Black Death in the 14th century, the bubonic plague, it was a disease that spread from Asia to Europe along trade routes. And it was an environmental event, a pandemic, that had devastating demographic and social impact, killing a massive portion of the population and leading to major economic and social shifts. In APUSH, the geography and environment is a direct match. It covers how the environment shaped settlement patterns like settling near rivers, and how events like the Dust Bowl were caused by a mix of human as well as environmental factors. The creation of the national parks system, starting with Yellowstone in 1872, this creates a direct interaction with geography and environment theme in APUSH, right? Where Americans debated how to use natural resources, leading to a conservation movement aimed at preserving wilderness from industrial development. And in AP World History, the interaction of humans and the environment theme is fundamental. It examines how geography influenced the locations of early civilizations, the spread of diseases along trade routes like the Black Death, and massive environmental changes caused by industrialization. This describes the widespread transfer of plants, animals, culture, human populations, technology, and the ideas between the Americas, West Africa, and the Old World. The exchange of diseases that decimated the Native American populations and introduced American crops like potatoes and maize that reshaped the global diets. These are all core examples of the interaction of humans and the environment, and we call that the Columbian Exchange. The cultural theme is all about the ideas, beliefs, and arts of a society. This is where you'll find religion, science, philosophy, art, architecture, and intellectual movements. It's the heart and mind of a civilization. In AP European history, two themes fit perfectly: cultural and intellectual developments, think Renaissance and the Enlightenment, and technological and scientific innovation like the Scientific Revolution. An example, therefore, would be the Enlightenment of the 18th century. This was a major intellectual and cultural movement where thinkers like Voltaire and Rousseau championed reason, science, and individual rights over tradition and religion. It fundamentally changed how people thought about government and society, fitting perfectly into cultural and intellectual developments. And while I'm thinking of it, those words fundamentally changed. Listen for whatever course you're in. Listen for those words, whether it's a teacher or in the textbook. If you see or hear words fundamentally changed, it's a big deal. So pay attention and remember what you're learning. Moving on. For AP US history, the main theme under culture is belief systems. This explores the role of religion, the development of American ideals like manifest destiny and artistic and intellectual movements. So an example would be the Second Great Awakening in the early 19th century. This Protestant religious revival inspired a wave of social reform movements in America. It's a key example of how belief systems can influence society and the movement's emphasis on morality and perfecting society that drove abolitionist, temperance, and women's rights movements. And in AP World, this course has a cultural development theme that covers religions, belief systems, and arts. And it also has a technological theme, which includes science and innovations that shape how people see and interact with the world. So the spread of Buddhism from India to East and Southeast Asia is a fantastic example of cultural diffusion. As Buddhism traveled along the Silk Road and maritime trade routes, it blended with local beliefs and traditions, creating new forms of religion like Zen Buddhism in Japan. And finally, the economic theme deals with how societies produce, exchange, and consume goods. This is all about money, work, and resources. It covers topics like agriculture, trade routes, labor systems like serfdom or slavery, industrialization, and economic theories like capitalism and communism. In AP European history, the economic and commercial development theme is the key one here, covering everything from feudalism to the rise of global trade and industrialization. So the commercial revolution, which was approximately 16th to 18th centuries, this period, it saw the rise of new economic systems and practices that laid the groundwork for global trade and capitalism. Key developments included mercantilism, important word, mercantilism, joint stock companies like the Dutch East India Company, and new banking and finance mechanisms. For APUSH, the theme is simply called economy. It looks at work, exchange, and technology from early colonial trade and agriculture to the Industrial Revolution and modern global capitalism. Henry Ford's moving assembly line, introduced in 1913, it was a technological innovation that revolutionized manufacturing, making cars affordable for the average American. So you have technology and innovation, you have economics, and you have social aspects, all in this one thing, this one example. So it exemplifies the economy theme here by showing how new technology can transform work, increase production, and create a mass consumer society. And for AP World, the economic theme here is broad, covering labor systems, trade and industry, and agriculture across different societies and time periods. The technological theme also has a strong economic component, as innovations like the steam engine or the internet radically changed economies. So an example from AP World would be the Trans-Saharan Trade Network. For centuries, this network connected West Africa with North Africa and the Mediterranean world. The trade in gold from West Africa for salt from the Sahara was its economic lifeblood, leading to the rise of powerful and wealthy empires like the Mali and the Ghana empires. All right, let's take a quick pause for a fun fact that shows just how interconnected these themes really are. It's about a food you've made and probably eaten in some way in the last week, the potato. Most people know the potato came from the Americas to Europe as part of the Columbian exchange, but what's obscure about it is this humble potato. It was a secret weapon that helped fuel the rise of European power. That's right. Think about it through our themes. First of all, it's an environmental story. It's a plant from the Andes that's moved to a new continent where it thrives. This led to a huge social impact. The potato was cheap, calorie dense, and it could grow in terrible soil. So this allowed Europe's peasant population to be better fed, leading to a massive population boom in the 18th and 19th centuries. And that population boom had a massive economic effect. It created a surplus of people who could leave the farms and become the workers needed to run the factories of the Industrial Revolution. And finally, this all had a political consequence. Countries with larger, healthier populations could field bigger armies and project more power across the globe. So the simple act of adopting a new crop from the Americas directly contributed to Europe's industrial and military dominance. The next time you see a French fry, you can thank the amazing, world-changing power of historical connections. Now, let's take this to the next level, a more sophisticated level of understanding. Now, here's a key point that will ramp up your analysis. These themes are not separate boxes. The most significant events in history almost always involve multiple themes interacting at once. And thinking about these overlaps is how you develop a truly sophisticated argument. Let's take one major event as an example, the Industrial Revolution. Economic is the most obvious theme. It was a fundamental change in how goods were produced, leading to the rise of the factory system and modern capitalism. Socially, it reshaped society. Massive numbers of people moved from the countryside to the cities, creating a new industrial working class and social hierarchies. And family life and gender roles were dramatically altered. Environmental, the impact was huge. Cities became crowded and polluted. Natural resources were consumed at an unprecedented rate, and the physical landscape was transformed by factories, railroads, and canals. Politically, the new social structures led to new political movements. Workers organized into unions, and new ideologies like socialism and communism emerged to challenge the capitalist system. Governments had to respond with new laws like factory safety regulations or expanded voting rights. And it even changed culture. The concept of time became more rigid. Hello, factory whistle. And artists and writers like Charles Dickens responded to the new industrial society, and a culture of consumption began to emerge. See how that works? By analyzing an event through all 5 themes, you get a much richer and more complete picture of its impact. Okay, this is all great in theory, but how do you actually use it to get a better score, right? So first, for studying, organize your notes thematically. As you finish a unit, don't just have a timeline of events. Create a simple chart with our 5 themes. For the unit on the Gilded Age in APUSH, for example, you could jot down notes for political, like political machines and corruption and civil service reform, economic, the rise of trusts and monopolies, and laissez-faire capitalism. For social, massive immigration, urbanization, and wealth inequality. And this helps you see the big picture and identify patterns of continuity and change over time, which is a key historical thinking skill. Second, for essays, the themes are your ultimate brainstorming tool for the DBQ and the LEQ. Most prompts are asking you to analyze the effects or causes of something. You can often structure your entire essay around these themes. Let's say your prompt is to evaluate the extent of which the Columbian Exchange transformed the Americas in the period 1491 to 1700. You can immediately brainstorm your body paragraphs using the themes. Paragraph 1, environmental, the introduction of new crops and animals and the devastating impact of new diseases on the Native American populations. Paragraph 2, social, the creation of new racially mixed populations like mestizos and mulattoes, and new social hierarchies. Paragraph 3, economic, the rise of the plantation economy, new labor systems like the encomienda, and the integration of the Americas into the global trade network. Man, I get excited about this stuff. By using these themes as your guide, you ensure your essay is well organized, comprehensive, and directly answers the prompt with multiple strong arguments. Students, that's a game changer right there. So there you have it. No matter which AP History course you're taking, you can use these 5 themes, social, political, environmental, cultural, and economic, to organize your thoughts and draw powerful conclusions. Remember to look for the overlaps and use them as a tool for studying and writing. That will do it for this episode. Next episode, which releases on September 20th, will cover Unit 2 of AP European History, the Age of Reformation. This is one of my favorite topics, the Protestant Reformation, the Catholic Counter-Reformation. Essentially, the church breaks up with the state, which lays the groundwork for enlightenment and the development of democratic institutions. Fun times. Even if you're not in AP Euro, it makes for great context in the other courses. So be sure to subscribe on your podcast platform or on YouTube, and you'll get notified when it is released. And remember to head over to my website, aphistoryhelp.com, and enter your email address for a chance to receive helpful resources all year long for free. And with that, this episode of the AP History Help podcast is now history.